Chapter 5. Holly stepped out into the crisp, moonlit night, the cryptic note clutched tightly in her hand. The full moon cast a serene glow over Evergreen, transforming the quaint town into a scene from a holiday card. But beneath the tranquil surface, secrets waited to be unearthed. Determined to decipher the message, Holly made her way back to the town square. The oak tree stood majestic and solemn, its bare branch a stark reminder of the mystery at hand. She looked at the note again, reading the enigmatic words, "Under the light of the full moon, the truth will reveal itself." Holly circled the tree, her eyes scanning the ground, the branches, the surrounding area. Nothing seemed out of place, yet the feeling that she was missing something lingered. She decided to sit on a nearby bench, giving herself a moment to think. As she sat, the gentle hum of a carol drifted from the open window of a nearby house. The melody was familiar, a classic Christmas tune, yet it seemed to resonate with the night in a peculiar way. It was then that Holly noticed something, a subtle, almost imperceptible pattern of shadows cast by the moonlight through the branches of the oak tree. She stood and approached the tree, her gaze following the intricate dance of shadows and light. To her astonishment, the shadows aligned to form a series of numbers on the ground, the same numbers as on the note. It was a coordinate, a location somewhere in Evergreen. Realizing the significance of this discovery, Holly quickly pulled out her phone to map the coordinates. They pointed to an old, abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. The place had a reputation for being haunted, a relic of a long-ago era in Evergreen's history. As Holly ventures towards the warehouse, her inquisitive spirit takes flight. The streets were quiet, the festive lights of the town giving way to the eerie stillness of the outskirts. Upon reaching the warehouse, Holly found it shrouded in shadows, its once sturdy walls weathered by time. The moonlight cast an ethereal glow on the building, giving it an almost spectral appearance. Holly hesitated for a moment, the weight of the town's trust in her, the expectation to solve the mystery of the mistletoe, pressing upon her shoulders. Taking a deep breath, she pushed open the creaking door and stepped inside. The interior was vast and dilapidated, remnants of its industrial past scattered around. As her eyes adjusted to the darkness, Holly noticed something unusual, a series of old photographs pinned to a decaying bulletin board. They depicted various town events, including several Christmas festivals from years past. But it was a particular photo that caught Holly's attention. It showed the town square many years ago, the oak tree adorned with the mistletoe, and a group of people standing beneath it. Among them was a young man, his face strikingly similar to Mr. Grayson, the mysterious visitor staying at the inn. Holly realized that the mystery of the mistletoe was intricately tied to the town's history and the secrets it held. To unravel the truth, she would need to delve deeper into the past of Evergreen and its residents. The answer to the mistletoe's disappearance lay hidden in the echoes of the town's past, waiting for Holly to uncover it. Chapter 6. Under the soft, twinkling lights of the Evergreen Inn, Holly mulled over the photograph from the warehouse. The young man resembling Mr. Grayson stood proudly in an old Christmas festival photo, his face a mirror image of the enigmatic visitor. Her next stop was the local library, where she hoped to find more information about Jonathan Hawthorne, the man in the photo, and his clashes with the town council. The librarian, Mr. Green, was a living archive of Evergreen's history and quickly guided her to old council meeting records. Holly discovered detailed accounts of heated debates between Hawthorne and council members, particularly over the commercialization of the Christmas festival. One argument stood out. A council meeting where Hawthorne vehemently opposed a proposal to introduce a large, sponsored Christmas tree display. The meeting was tense, with Hawthorne's frustration palpable. "You're turning our festival into a billboard," he argued, dismayed by the council's push towards modernization, led by council member Margaret Snow. Despite his passionate defense of tradition, the council voted in favor of the proposal, deepening a rift in the community. Holly thanked Mr. Green and left the library, her thoughts a whirlwind of conjecture and speculation. It was clear that Jonathan Hawthorne was a key figure in understanding the mistletoe's disappearance, but the connection to Mr. Grayson remained a mystery. Determined to confront Mr. Grayson with her findings, Holly headed back to the Evergreen Inn. The inn was quiet, the soft glow of the Christmas lights providing a comforting ambiance. She found Mr. Grayson in the lounge, reading a book by the fireplace. He looked up, his expression one of mild surprise as Holly approached. "Mr. Grayson, I need to talk to you about this photograph," Holly said, showing him the image on her phone. Mr. Grayson's eyes narrowed as he looked at the photo. After a moment of silence, he sighed. That's my grandfather, Jonathan Hawthorne. Your grandfather? Holly echoed, taken aback. Then you're aware of the mistletoe's significance in your grandfather's history with the town? Mr. Grayson nodded, a hint of reluctance in his demeanor. Yes, I know all about it. I came to Evergreen to learn more about my family's past. Holly's instincts told her there was more to his story. Is that the only reason you're here, Mr. Grayson? Or is there more you're not telling? Mr. Grayson hesitated, then stood up. There's a lot you don't understand, Miss Winters. My grandfather's legacy in this town is complicated. And yes, there's more, but it's not what you think. Chapter 7. Holly regarded Mr. Grayson with a mix of skepticism and curiosity. The revelation of his lineage and his guarded demeanor hinted at complexities she hadn't anticipated. The mystery of Evergreen's missing mistletoe was becoming more intricate by the moment. Mr. Grayson, I understand this might be personal, but any information you provide could be crucial in solving this case, Holly pressed gently. Mr. Grayson exhaled deeply, his gaze shifting to the flickering flames in the fireplace. My grandfather, Jonathan Hawthorne, was passionate about Evergreen's traditions. His disagreements with the council were about preserving the true spirit of the festival. He felt it was losing its heart, becoming more commercialized. And the mistletoe? Holly asked. It was his symbol of unity and tradition. He believed it held the town's spirit together. After his passing, the disagreements were forgotten, but the spirit he fought for. I believe it was lost too, Mr. Grayson explained. Holly considered his words, her mind piecing together the puzzle. So, your visit to Evergreen, is it to honor your grandfather's memory? In a way, yes. But also to understand him, his battles. I never met him, but I've always felt a connection to this place through his stories, Mr. Grayson admitted. Before Holly could inquire further, the sound of the front door opening diverted their attention. Ben Frost entered the inn, shaking off the snow from his coat. His eyes met Holly's, and there was an unspoken understanding between them. Ben approached and sat down. I couldn't help but overhear. You're Jonathan Hawthorne's grandson? He asked Mr. Grayson. Yes, and it seems his legacy is more complicated than I thought, Mr. Grayson replied. Ben nodded thoughtfully. Jonathan was a pillar in this community, despite his disputes. His passion for Evergreen's traditions inspired many, including me. Holly looked at Ben, surprised. You knew Jonathan Hawthorne? Not personally, but my family did. I grew up hearing stories about him and the mistletoe. It's part of why I care so much about this town's traditions, Ben shared. A new angle dawned on Holly. Mr. Grayson, you said your grandfather felt the festival was losing its heart. Do you think someone might have taken the mistletoe to make a statement, echoing his sentiments? It's possible, Mr. Grayson conceded. But who would go to such lengths? The trio sat in contemplative silence, each lost in thought. Holly realized that the key to solving the mystery lay in understanding the past, in the echoes of Jonathan Hawthorne's battles and beliefs. Holly, Ben, and Mr. Grayson formed an unlikely alliance, united by a shared goal to uncover the truth behind the missing mistletoe. Holly knew that the answers they sought were hidden in the fabric of Evergreen's history, waiting to be uncovered. And she was more determined than ever to bring the truth to light. Chapter 8. Under the soft glow of the inn's fireplace, Holly Winters, Ben Frost, and Mr. Grayson formed a plan. They agreed that exploring Jonathan Hawthorne's past and his connection to the town's traditions might reveal the motive behind the mistletoe's disappearance. I'll start by looking into the old council records, Ben suggested. There might be more about my family's involvement with Jonathan Hawthorne and the festival. I'll revisit some of the older residents who knew my grandfather, Mr. Grayson added. They might shed light on his disputes and intentions. Holly nodded. And I'll continue to investigate the recent occurrences in town. There must be a link between the past and what's happening now. With their tasks set, they dispersed into the chilly Evergreen night, each on their respective missions. Holly's first stop was the home of Evelyn Pine, the elderly woman she had met in the cafe. Evelyn, known for her long memory and storytelling, welcomed Holly into her cozy living room. Over cups of steaming tea, Holly listened intently as Evelyn recounted tales of Jonathan Hawthorne. He was a man of strong principles, a bit stern, but deeply cared for Evergreen. His disagreements with the council were well known, often heated, especially regarding the commercialization of the festival. Evelyn paused, her eyes distant. But there was one council member he particularly clashed with, Margaret Snow. She was the driving force behind modernizing the festival. Margaret Snow? Holly repeated, noting the name. Is she still around? Oh, no dear, she passed away years ago. But her family is still here. Her grandson, in fact, runs the local theater, Evelyn shared. Armed with this new information, Holly thanked Evelyn and left. Her next destination was the theater. She needed to understand the nature of the dispute between Hawthorne and Snow and how it might connect to the present. The theater was an old brick building, its marquee lights dimmed for the night. Holly found Margaret Snow's grandson, Simon Snow, sweeping the lobby. After introducing herself and explaining her investigation, Holly asked about his grandmother's history with Jonathan Hawthorne. Simon set his broom aside, a hint of reluctance in his posture. My grandmother and Jonathan Hawthorne were like oil and water. She believed in progress, in bringing new life to the festival. Hawthorne wanted to keep it rooted in the past. Do you think this old feud could be related to the mistletoe's disappearance? Holly inquired. Simon shrugged. Hard to say. The feud died with them, but some in town still hold strong opinions about it. As Holly left the theater, a piece of the puzzle clicked into place. The past was indeed casting a shadow over the present. The missing mistletoe, a symbol of unity, seemed now to be at the center of a long-standing ideological battle within Evergreen. Holly stood outside the theater, the night air crisp around her. The path to solving the mystery of the missing mistletoe was becoming clearer, yet more complex. It was not just a simple theft, it was a manifestation of a town's struggle between tradition and progress, a struggle that had re-emerged to disrupt the peace of the holiday season. Holly knew that to find the mistletoe, she would have to first reconcile the echoes of the past with the realities of the present.